Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journeys without the constraints of filters. In a world that is saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering our listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, the struggles, and transformative moments that all define us. Our mission here is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy and rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth, to be moved, to be inspired, and discover that you are not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everyone. Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker, here as one of your podcast co-hosts on the Unfiltered Path podcast. Welcome to this week's episode. I am a motivational speaker and coach. You can find me at thetrinitybaker.com here with my co-host.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I'm an aerialist. That's a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. Essentially, I'm the bird of the circus, and I teach other people how to do it too. So I educate across the whole southern part of the state of Maine. You can live chat with me on my website, and I am here with my co-host.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Graham Duval. I'm the owner of Valued Productions. We help businesses turn strangers into clients using video content and different digital strategies. And I am super excited to have our guest today.
My name is John Burrell, and I'm the founder of Top Flight Financial and Insurance Services. And we do protection first, fee-based financial planning, and we focus primarily on helping business owners, especially navigate taxes and make sure that they are as tax efficient as possible.
So,
I love that. We all need people like you around. Because the deeper we grow, I think I'm responsible for a couple LLCs now. And so the need for tax awareness and just understanding money on a level that feels so new each time I grow. So having friends and guests like you are so incredibly handy.
Well, I appreciate you having me on today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us more. Tell us more. Especially right now where, everything feels so up in the air, especially since COVID. I feel like we're kind of like reliving those steps a little bit. Like, what are you guys going to do now? Like, how can we improve the process now? It feels very similar. What was eggs was toilet paper. Like, so do you have any like tidbits to share with us?
So there's a lot of uncertainty right now, that's for sure. And it's a daily, if not hourly experience. So the big thing that we do is we don't predict, we prepare. And so by starting with a solid financial foundation, making sure certain protections are in place for the individual or the business owner, it makes it easier to navigate that unknown. Because if today, when the stock market opens, it tanks, we've got things that are already in place to protect a business, to protect the family. And of course, we're going to make adjustments throughout this whole journey. And we're going to be constantly available to communicate with our clients to help them and to usually give them some reassurance that the planning that we've already done is going to protect them and that there isn't any reason to panic.
I love what you said. We don't predict, we prepare. And that goes along with a lot of what I teach. So I teach my clients to not react. I teach them to respond, right? But in order to be at a place where you can respond, you have to be prepared. And so you teach a lot of that too, just in the financial world, which is cool. Because there is uncertainty, and there is always uncertainty. If it's not COVID, it's the stock market. If it's not the stock market, it is your personal job. I mean, none of what anyone does is ever really secure, unless you're a business owner. And so I think that you also help business owners really be prepared so that we can kind of create more certainty for ourselves and our families, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love what we're talking about here too, because we talk a lot on this podcast about like some of the deeper stuff with like we get into spiritual stuff sometimes and like I don't know, different concepts and stuff, and but this kind of financial side of things is a little bit more physical, but then like keeping it like implementing those same principles of like, money is like some sort of energy, and how can we use that to, like you said, prepare or set us up for success.
Well, so
Absolutely.
money is an energy, right? Come at it from what John teaches, which is to be prepared. You're not coming at money and with your money, you're not using your money in a way of scarcity, of fear.
Hmm.
I've got to hide it. I've got to like, make sure I keep it. You're coming at it with a how can I set myself up to be certain in
Right.
the uncertainty. And then John's helping people decrease that fear in the uncertainty because the uncertainty is it's going to happen anyway. We know
Right.
COVID, none of us could opt out of the chaos that created, right? So John's setting people up to really harness the power of the energy of money, which is
Yeah.
cool.
That's what I'm saying. It's so cool. And like, yeah, is there any John, is there any like actionable things that you can share that are like that our listeners may be able to just like keep in mind with this?
Well, I think that the basics for anybody who doesn't have a big background in financial um, health, first of all, we're not taught that when we go to school. And if we're not learning it from our parents, we're learning it through the school of hard knocks by making
Mm-hmm.
mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So just, looking at budgeting, I think a big rule for budgeting is the 50-30-20 rule. And that's
Mm.
whatever your income is. And this could be business income or, you're a W-2 employee. 50% of your income should go towards uh, your household, paying the bills, keeping the lights on, paying your taxes. And then 30% should go to things that you enjoy, being able to go on vacation, being able to buy gifts and to celebrate. And then 20% should be a combination of retirement and or paying down debts or saving for an emergency fund. And
Wow.
so if you can't run the household with 50% of your income, then we need to figure out a way to change your budget, maybe lower some insurance costs or, other ways that we can tap into our resources to connect our clients with other people that do things as well
Right.
as we all do the things that we do.
Right. That
Mhm.
is super, super helpful piece of advice I know for myself. Yeah, just a good reminder to like relook at some of those things, and yeah, that's I'm glad that you
think
shared that.
I think something that like that's nice to hear, like just that simple math and be reminded of it. Because I've definitely, it's something that at least they talk about it in college. I feel like I started to hear this kind of mindset, and at least in books I've read. But one thing about being a business owner, I don't know where we plan that, but self-development or starting a new project or expanding on what you already have has to be part of the regimen. So where does that fit in that kind of number spectrum in the 50% of what we spend on our home? Like, because I'm curious, because that's where I feel like I'm always investing in, but it's those choices that get me anywhere. Like, so where do you think that fits in that diet, that financial?
You're talking about like coaching and taking courses and classes and all.
I went to school, I'm
I
39,
bet
and I just did some additional
I
education that
bet
was
it
like
goes
a couple
into
grand. Like, like this stuff is my next project, like I've like is bigger than me. Like,
right.
you know what I mean? It's like huge. So like, and it does, and it, anyway, so it's like I'm always going, even this, the podcast, this is an investment for us to have. This is like we invest our time, our resources, and our money,
Hmm.
and we find guests and we nurture people. Like this is to grow and expand our current, way of being. Where do you think that fits in what you just explained? Because it feels like just slightly different for a business owner.
So if you're a sole proprietor or an LLC or a partnership, then
Yeah.
all of that revenue that your business makes is flowing through to the individual and is going to be taxed that way. So you've got to figure out of your earnings, what is going to be money for the household and what's going to be money to buy inventory or to develop the business or to expand the business and those sorts of things. And that's where budgeting becomes more complex and where oftentimes a
Mm.
bookkeeper is going to be a helpful piece to the overall planning, because as business owners we've got to align ourselves with other advisors and other professionals that are going to help us develop, whether that's an attorney or a CPA or a bookkeeper or a financial advisor, mindset coach, marketing
Well,
people, all of
well, in
those.
terms of like a percentage, what do you think the percentage like self-development should be? Because you know what I mean? Like what would that
Yes, I
percentage
do.
be?
I think
Like
I think
what would
that
that be? Like what's your mindset on that? Like I'm just
I
curious.
think that's different. I don't know, last year I opted into a 12-week course with a really fantastic advisor who's does a course called Transform. And when I first signed up, it was a 4,000, almost $5,000 course. When you're paying that, it's like, ooh, that hurt. But when you
Yeah.
get through to the other side and realize that that was worth it and that was a commitment that I made, and because I made that financial commitment, I'm showing up every week and I'm engaging in this, and now I'm in a better position to help my clients. So I don't know percentage wise what that would be, but I know that what you're saying, Danielle, it's vital. We have to do things to make ourselves better for our business, for our family, and for our clients.
Here's how I teach it and what I do personally. And this doesn't work for every business, right? Everyone's business structure is different. We've got S corps, we've got LLCs, or all those things. So everything's different. And I'm not a financial professional at all. I'll put that disclaimer right here.
I'm winging it like everyone else.
The revenue that the business brings in is all of mine. I then have to determine what portion of this is personal revenue coming to me that I am profiting, and what the other portion is my business taking. And then I take my personal revenue that I'm bringing in, then I divide it like John said, the 50% for the house, the 30%, the 20%. Then I've got a whole different divide over here with my
That's what I was like trying to tap into. Like,
professional.
what is that diet?
So that I think that's different for everyone because not everyone has the same mindset. Some people are like, all of that is going into the business and it's going to go into marketing. It's going to go into all the things to build, and that's it. And then you've got some people who are more entrepreneurial who are going to say, all right, well, a good portion of that needs to go to growing me and my education and who I am. And I think that also is industry specific. Like me as a coach, like I must always be getting myself to the next level personally, professionally, or my clients are going to bypass me and then who I'm not a coach. Right. So
Hmm.
I have to, and same with you, Danielle, like you teach people the moves that you're learning. You have to always be learning because they're eventually going to master those skills. And then,
No, because my mindset when my business is that's what it's supposed to be. Like, so I don't see them as forever clients. I expect them to mature out. So I don't have that. While I see what you mean, that could be an easy thing, but I have since so
so
far
then
beyond
you,
that kind of
then
I
you have like a portion of,
can't.
you have a portion of your business that then you need to, okay, what's marketing, right? Like
Yeah.
there are some industries where Graham will tell you videos have to be a part of what you
Hmm.
do. And there are some industries that they're not. So then that's different. And I think then if you go back over to the pot of your personal money too, that's different. Like some people
Right.
want it's much more than 20%. Some people are like in total scarcity mode and they are like, man, this shit is crashing hard. I don't know where we're going, recession and blah, blah, blah. They're just like stockpiling right now, every ounce of their money that they can, every penny, every dime. So I think I love the structure of like, hey, here's this template. But then what I'm hearing is John teaches you and sits down with you and says, all right, does this template actually work for you?
Right. And I like to like along the lines of where it's different for some people is like someone's 30% that they may use for like gifts or vacation or whatever it is. That might be I'm not going to spend money on a vacation. I'm going to spend money on the S&P me. You know what I mean? Instead of the S&P 500. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so yeah.
I think
It
so,
all
because I don't know what that is.
well, investing in yourself instead of the stock
Well, I got
market.
the
Yeah.
analogy, but not technically what you were talking about at all.
So like Danielle, that's probably like where you spend your 30% is on that higher education, right? Because then we're talking about business owners who might not be at that point yet where there is those two different pots of money. Like if
My
you are
first
brand new,
year was video and marketing and website and all that side. And then after that was started to be equipment. And then it became, well, and then self-development wasn't necessary. And I've done that quite a few times. But yeah, more has been self-development and beginning of projects, like including myself in things that are bigger than me and more community-based things. And a lot of that do require additional resources on self. And they do fall, the perk of being a business owner is they conveniently fall under business needs. So, I'm kind of in that spot right now. But I'm curious, there has to be a financial diet for entrepreneurs to be able to fill in like you were just so confidently said that, which I've heard before about how we should spend our money. And I'm just, why isn't there that conversation for businesses? Because there's probably a universal code for it, or just quite similar to the personal spending, you
I
know?
think I think that, like Trinity said, each business is so different. And the first mistake that small business owners tend to make is they only pull out enough money from the business to make sure that the bills are paid for their household. And then everything else is pushed right back into the business.
Yeah.
And the hope is once you get past survival and scarcity and the business is growing, then the mindset becomes, my retirement is going to be this business, or I'm never going to retire because I just am passionate about what I'm doing. But at some point, there has to be a shift where you can start to save for retirement, and that becomes a tax deduction, and it becomes an opportunity for business owners to have more of a growth mindset and more of an abundance mindset. And then we talk about what's the continuation plan. And so I don't know that there's a 50-30-20 is a pretty universal adopted personal spending plan. But that business, it depends on the phase of your business. Budgeting is really important. Keeping track of your spending is really important, and having a plan for future spending. But I don't have the secret sauce for what that recipe would be.
Graham, I'm glad you called yourself out there because I probably was going to call you out for you because that is the most common thing that I see. Because again, I coach a lot of business owners or individuals who have entrepreneurs, they're entrepreneurials, right? So I see this a lot, even if I'm not coaching them for business and professional purposes, it carries over to their personal life all of the time. Because when you're giving yourself just enough to scrape by, what is the energy that you're heading into your business in? Just energy.
I
say this from experience because Graham, you just saw me shifting my energy, which then is leading me to the next level. Scarcity. So like everything I teach, everything I preach and teach, I do, which is why I know it works. Graham, go ahead.
I do pull for retirement.
Yep.
And all that stuff. So like I do that.
You've got the foundation there. It's just evolving and taking that
Yeah, the
level
next. Yes, exactly.
requires you to get out of that scarcity and fear energy because we do, John, you're so right. Like the thing I love about entrepreneurs and business owners is the dedication that we have to making this business freaking work. And if that means that we need to take nothing from the business, we will. However, it's when you do that, you're actually doing a disservice because you're putting that uncertainty into the actions you're taking. It's all right, I'm just going to dump everything in here and hope it works. Like you're better off to say, I'm going to take 75% of it and invest it in here. And I know it will work and take that 25% and do something else with it. You will get better results just because of the energy and focus and mindset you have in the actions you're taking. This is why mindset is so important because you can invest, you and I could both invest the same $100 in the same exact thing. We're going to get different results if we don't have the same energy into that $100 investment. And that is just it. So I love what you do, John, because you do it from a prepared, let's set ourselves up for success. And it's not a let's react, right? Let's try to like prepare from this scarcity fear. I love that. I love that about you. Like all we're in BNI together, which is a network marketing group, right? Of professionals. And so John constantly shares his 60 seconds every single week and educates us on his business. That is one thing that I write down in my notes every single week about you, John, is how passionate you are of taking business owners out of that scarcity because you know that that will hold them back. I honor that. I love that.
Absolutely. And I've been there. I was there, a few years ago, and having the people to encourage me and to teach me to get out of that mindset, and it holds you back so much. I remember when I first joined um, in this industry, looking at how other people, my peer group within Maine, were doing, and there wasn't anybody really knocking it out of the park. And then I was like, well, I I don't know if I can do that. Nobody else is. And as soon as you get out of that and get out of your own way, then the energy shifts and your mindset changes, and then you can accomplish so much more.
Literally accomplish anything. Danielle, you see it all the time. I mean, I was that person that was like, Danielle, I cannot climb this silk. And you were like, yes, you can. And you helped me shift that mindset. And all of a sudden, I was at the top of the silk. It's that is literally life. And we are walking ourselves through that process every second of every day. And then you have four individuals right here who all specialize in helping you shift that in our specific areas that we work. And that's what we do. So John's here to help you shift that financial total money mindset. Graham's here to help you get your brand and your message out about your business and shift the mindset about marketing, right? Because like a lot of people think that marketing is, we got to be salesy. Is not what we need to do. And Graham teaches you that. Danielle teaches you that you have so much potential within you. You have no idea what fitness and creativity can be for you. And then obviously I'm a mindset coach. So that's obvious what I do at this point. But I love that we are abundant in this world of resources to always help us get to our next level, whatever that is. And the podcast brings these people to you. So if you're sitting here saying like, I'm a business owner, I can totally relate when I say that I give myself the bare minimum and I'm dumping everything back into my business and I still feel like it's not enough. John's your guy. There you go. Now you have to go to financial shift.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I love it. This
One of my big financial shifts this year was, I don't know what I was thinking, because I'm a mom. I thought this idea of not necessarily having guidelines forcing you to go somewhere or be somewhere was like beneficial. And then all of a sudden I was like, no, everybody has to have a plan. And now I'm like auto pay on all my bills. The money and the experience is pretty much the same. I mean, I do have a couple more opportunities where there was obvious growth in terms of that. But necessarily, it's like still the clients are the clients. My homeschooling program, still my homeschooling program. I have an additional program with the Boys and Girls Club. I have my adult classes, juniors. Everything's still the same. It's just now I put a commitment on everyone for at least 4 weeks, and now all my bills are paid. Like it's just really interesting
And
how that worked,
it
and
was
it's
the
kind
same,
of giggle to look at it like that.
the same stuff that you were doing. You literally just shifted your standard of doing it. And that's what happens when we evolve as humans. We shift our standards. I literally was just having this conversation with a client this morning. We shift our standards. And so you are teaching the same exact thing as you were before you raised your standard to having, you know what, a 4 week commitment. I'm committed to you and I need you committed to me. And
Yeah.
that's everything for you. It's little shifts like that. Like often we're looking at big shifts, like my business must double in size this year in order
Yeah.
for me to invest, or I got to win the mega bucks in order to buy a house. But none of
Uh,
that is true. None of that is true.
no, I know.
It's little shifts.
Yeah. We were dreaming before we go to bed, like of being on an island. And we were talking about all the details and what we were going to eat and like where we were going to go. And then Giselle's like, yeah, but I really want steak and shrimp. And she's like, it's probably going to be like $40. I'm like, shh, it might be included.
I love that. That was beautiful.
Steak and shrimp's included in the trip. It was just funny. It was like a small mindset thing I got to share with my kids. But yeah, that's just my experience with money this year has been the commitment. It's been nice. It was such a small adjustment. I even gave a discount. And then everything goes through my website. So I pay more money on my own money through my website than Venmo or whatever. It's free. So I'm actually like paying more from my own money, but somehow making people do that has made it so I'm more financially forward. And it's so cool.
Energy. It's all your
It's
intention.
interesting. It's interesting. So then I'm like, okay, I don't remember what podcast it was, but about someone came on and it was like, oh, we make self contracts with ourselves all day, every day. And it made me rethink about that conversation. You know what I'm talking about, right? And I'm like, oh, there must be something to that adds to the financial world. Like,
Mm.
how could I make more healthy self contracts that improve my financial stability? And like, where do I have room to grow with that?
One of the first contracts I made with myself financially was knowing where my money is at all times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying watch it like a hawk and be like scarcity mode about it, but we earn our money in whatever way we earn it, whether it's through investments or through a W-2 job or through multiple businesses, whatever it is. We should always be aware of where it is that we're earning and where it is going, right down to the taxes that are being taken out, the investments that are being made, like everything. And the awareness is so important. So then you build onto that once that contract is fulfilled and that's just part of your everyday life, then you move on to the next contract. And these are little contracts, they're not big. I didn't say that like I had to
Yeah.
commit to making it double. Like it's just knowing.
And someone came on, or no, I said it to you guys, but I saw it briefly where if you look at money as a woman, you have to give it attention to grow. And
Yeah.
I was changed after that. Like, I like know what apps I have on my phone. That was like part of my self-awareness discovery. Like, what apps am I actually paying for? Like, or, and those small things. But it was after that analogy that I was like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense.
It does. So, John, as we wrap up this amazing conversation, what are a few tips you have for the business owners listening, wherever they are, whether they're investing and they know exactly what their percentage breakdown is, or whether they're a brand new business owner or they're 5 years in and they're like, oh man, I'm still dumping 100% into this and I'm not taking anything. What are some just broad tips that you have for people to just begin to shift, to make those little shifts that are going to bring them to the next level?
Well, one thing, going back to what Danielle just said about contracts, I think, when we think about saving or investing in our retirement future, if we think about, oh, I'll put some aside when I can, I'll look at where I am on April 1st, knowing that we have until April 15th to contribute for last year. That doesn't tend to happen. But if we can look at a budget and say, I feel comfortable saving $1,000 a month for my future and setting it up and forgetting it, after a few months, you've adjusted. You no longer think about that $1,000 as something that you can spend, and it doesn't show up in your bank because it's going into your retirement account. And when we don't have our own 401k with an HR person helping us set it up and making those deductions automatically, as a self-employed person, you've got to do that yourself or find a financial professional who can help you. So I think that's a big step. But then I also think that you need to start to be strategic about taxes. Many, and this is not a knock on their profession, they do a great service for us, but many CPAs are specializing in tax preparation, not in tax planning. And it's tax planning that helps us reduce the amount of money that we're paying to our government. We're still paying what we have to, but we're not paying extra. And there are those little tips and tricks. Like as a self-employed person, we can hire our children for legitimate work. We can pay them up to $16,000 a year. They don't have to pay any tax on it. They can start to learn about managing their own money, opening up a Roth IRA. And meanwhile, the business has a tax deduction for those wages that were paid to the child. And then when the child says, I need a new pair of sneakers, you can say, go buy them. You've got your own money. I'm not giving you the money. You earned it.
Love that. And that's
well, my daughter better listen to my instructions better.
I love the analogy you just made, that a lot of people who have that W-2 job, if we start like that, right? If we start in life like that, we get used to going and meeting with that HR professional who's going to hand you the documents and say, what do you want to invest in? And I think it is more natural for us to be like, all right, yeah, $25 a week, $100 a week, whatever it is. And it just seems like nothing. And then when you are a business owner and entrepreneur, you don't actually have that conversation with yourself because there is no HR professional. John can be that person for you and say, look, what are you doing? Here's the form. Let's start somewhere, right? And just get that normalcy of investing as you do your W-2 job. I love that so much. And then the second thing is the ripple that you make in people's lives, because what are we teaching our kids when we're able to do that? Look at the ripple that we're teaching our kids about money to begin with and earning it. And then it's also benefiting us in our businesses. And so then we're teaching our kids, and then hopefully they'll teach their kids and they'll come out of, because a lot of the stuff's not taught in school. So we can do that and benefit.
Which I find mind blowing that this stuff isn't taught in school, but that's a whole nother podcast episode.
We probably already talked about it.
Yeah. Amazing. Cool. Well, John, we appreciate you coming on today and giving some insight into this world. Like I said, we kind of go into some of the other worlds a little bit more, but this is such a key piece to life and like a lot of our guests and business owners. So I appreciate you sharing your expertise on all of this. Again, my name is Graham, Valued Productions. We help business owners with video marketing. You can find us at www.valudproductions.com or on social media at Valued Productions. Happy to answer any questions, see where we can help your business grow. And joined with my co-host today.
Hey everyone, Trinity Baker, mindset coach, motivational speaker. If you are a business owner or an entrepreneur listening and you are like, I am totally stuck in this scarcity in many areas of my business, I have a brand new program called the Aligned Entrepreneur that just launched and currently has open enrollment. You can find it on my website, thetrinitybaker.com. Thank you for listening today. Joined with my co-host.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Ariel Jade. You can find me on arieljade.com, or the majority of my handles say Ariel Jade or Ariel Jade Art. I do lead with motherhood, athleticism, I share a little bit of cooking and a overall promotion of aerial arts as an art form and sports option. And you can always live chat with me on my website. And we are here with our guest today.
John Burrell. I'm the owner of Top Flight Financial and Insurance Services. I share financial tips on LinkedIn, on my Facebook page, and I can be reached anytime at 207-751-9389.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for joining us today. And to all our listeners, make sure you follow and subscribe wherever you see this podcast, whether it's YouTube, click the notification bell, or subscribe wherever your favorite podcasts are, so that you don't miss so you don't miss next week's episode. And we will see you all next week on the Unfiltered Path podcast.